lag is an optical illusion. All this time, you've been lied to. Now, whether or not the lie was intentional, or maybe they just didn't know better, is inconsequential. That doesn't help you right now. But in fact, the only thing that you have been doing correctly is the one thing you've been trying to get rid of for years, and that is to cast away the angle starting back here. So if you fall into that pattern of losing the angle early and getting no compression, no forward lean, and sometimes hitting behind it, then keep watching all the way till the end, because I'm going to show you how you're going to get a massive amount of lag the correct way. All right, let's get right into it. I'm going to show you 3 different techniques that are going to help you get lots more lag naturally in the correct way, so you can increase your club head speed, get more compression, and much more solid strikes. All right, first thing, when I see somebody who's casting, losing the angle too early, I usually see someone who doesn't cock the wrists enough. So I'll see them get to about here, and there's maybe a 60-degree angle at the wrists. And what that does, it allows so easily to be able to straighten the wrists out. It just simply doesn't take as long to do it. And so if you want to get more lag built in, you're going to be looking for at least a 90-degree angle, and possibly more if you could get 100 or 110 degrees of wrist cock at the top of the swing. It would simply take you longer to get rid of that. No matter how early or how hard you try to push and uncock the wrist, it's simply going to take another beat longer, and you're going to have more natural lag and forward lean coming into the ball. Now, secondly, it's not that you're throwing too early. In fact, look at this graph I'm going to put up on the screen right now. It's going to show you when the uncocking force first starts to ramp up. It starts to ramp up way back here from the top of the swing. Proof that you've had it correct all this time. Your instinct is not lying to you. You should not be trying to pull the arms and pull the handle down into the ball. Try to pull it ahead. You do want to keep throwing from the top. However, we've got to put a pivot and a turn out in front of that throw. This is what you might call good sequence. Here's an excellent drill to help you feel a massive amount of lag because of sequence. Watch this. I'm going to grip this with just the left hand. I'm going to take my index finger underneath about halfway, a third of the way, and I'm going to pin this up against my shoulder. You see that? Now, look at that tight wrist angle I've got going here. I got the wrist cocked. This is a great way for you to also stretch out that lead wrist. 120, 130 degrees of wrist cock here. Now, normally you would throw from the top with an absence of body motion, and that's the real error here, is not the timing of the uncocking of the wrists, but the fact that there's not enough shift and rotation of the torso prior to impact. So we're going to go pin it to the shoulder, turn it through. This needs to be highly exaggerated. Of course, look, I've already got the handle rotated well past the ball. I'm guaranteed to have massive lag and forward lean. And then I'm going to swoosh it 90 degrees out in front. So it looks like this. Step by step first. Pin it, turn it, and freely swoosh it. That means really throw that and let that elbow fold. Now, when you start getting good at step by step, you start making it more fluid and let the steps blend together. Pin it, turn it, swoosh it. Pin it, turn it, swoosh it. Then when you've done a bunch of those, set the stick down, take your club and make a two-handed practice swing that has some of the same feels as the stick drill you were doing. So it would be pin it, turn it, swoosh it. Pin it, turn it, swoosh it. When we look back at those swings in slow motion, my goodness, you see the amount of lag I have going for me. Now, you're still going to be throwing from the top, but now put bigger, enhanced, and slightly out in the lead is going to be this big, exaggerated pivot move that you're not used to making. Shift over laterally and rotate and face the target and feel like you're throwing the club out in front. Now, one more thing, and this is something nobody is talking about, and it's probably the biggest influence on lag that there probably is out there, and that is you can only lag something as much as you can unlag it. See, remember, you've got to get that club lined up at the ball with the left arm where the club face is square. If you're late, it's going to be open and you're going to miss it way to the right. So the reason that these big hitters can look like they're so laggy coming into it is because they're so good at straightening it out. Now, what's the secret to that? Well, obviously, you have to increase the amount of torque or force that you're pushing into the grip and the shaft to make it uncock. But that only goes so far. The magic secret is that you've got to make the hand path efficient. If you make the hand path efficient, then you can start lagging the hell out of it because it's just going to kick around and square up for you like magic. And so we've got to get the handle going around to the left and upwards as it slows down like a bullwhip action. So the thing that you cannot do is pull on this thing like this. And that's exactly what the other people want you to do, is to try to take your arms and pull on it. And that just makes this end of the stick not be able to slow down enough. Remember, we're looking for a counter. If you can get a very powerful counter move to cause this end of the stick to move more efficiently. So for example, I'll give you this, the upwards part. If I pull up, look how much more acceleration this gets. See that? All I'm doing is pulling up on the handle. I'm not even pushing any more force. It's gravity that's still creating all the acceleration, except now the upwards pull doubles that acceleration. What's even better is if you can also make this handle slow down. That is, of course, if you're whipping this. It should be like a bullwhip. Remember, a whip, like a towel whip, my hand would actually pull back suddenly to crack the towel. You see that? And I'd be super, super supple. So the big thing that's going to keep you from creating lag is tension in the hands and arms coming through the ball and trying to pull it. You want to be supple and you want to swing it like it's a whip. So we're more interested in this end of the stick actually slowing down than speeding up, because that gives this counter movement to cause the club to kick on through. And in this way, you've got so much gravity working in your favor that you can achieve much more lag on the way down and not worry about trying to catch up. So how are you going to do that? Well, you've seen my wrap the pole drill. Watch as I whip the club around, but watch as this end of the stick actually kind of backs up. Just like that. So you got to think of more of an outwards throw, keeping the handle of the club in front of your chest rather than pulling the handle all the way around to here, which most short hitters without lag do. All right, let's put this all together and let's see how much natural lag I can get without attempting to hold my wrists and delay my wrists, but instead I'm going to be throwing energy from the top of the swing. But you're still going to leave that comment down below saying that I'm wrong because you saw and you fell for the optical illusion. All right, let's check it out. All right, so looking back at that in slow motion, you can see I've got a decent amount of lag coming down, but what you're not seeing is you're seeing the result of me uncocking the wrists and the response taking a second. As I move through the ball with the body, it takes, a third of a second for me to go from a 90-degree wrist cock to a 0-degree wrist cock. But what I'm actually doing from the top of the swing is this movement right here. That's what I'm actually doing. And if you think that's crazy, it's exactly what every single pro you've ever heard of is doing too from the top of the swing. So your instinct to throw away the angle is actually correct. That's what they're doing too. Just like this, right from the top of the swing, throw. And once you get it going outwards and fast, you can create as much lag with the turn of the body and the cocking of the wrist as you want, because you're going to get that head flying around the handle to square up, and then you're going to really get a tremendous amount of club head speed. All right, so bottom line, lag is an optical illusion. You're only seeing the response at the bottom, but your natural instinct to throw that club and cast it from the top is correct. What you've got to change is the amount of wrist cock at the top of the swing, the bigger and earlier pivot and rotation of the body, causing the swoosh to be further out in front. And then thirdly, you've got to make this end of the stick slow down, turn upwards and left, and that gives you a big, fast response right at the last instant to where you can naturally start to now build up more lag and not worry about not catching up on time. All right, thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. It's the best way that you can support the channel. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet done so. I'm Steve. Of course, check out my website, hititlonger.com, for hundreds of more great videos and articles and some awesome endorsed products. And as usual, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.